Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Week 7, Corporate Esports Association Spring 2020 Starcraft 2 season. We are in Week 7. This is the final week of our round-robin pools. One more week until we go into CrossPay to determine our final seedings for the playoffs. I know everybody's excited. I'm your host, Eagle Searcher. I am joined today by Big Tsano, Patch Tech, and Damn Glam. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Sorry, I haven't done that joke yet, so I had to.
You know, gotta start off with the strong material.
That's right, because, it's real serious business here today. Red Hat coming off a few disappointing matches, looking for some revenge here against Microsoft Bill for Gates. We do have our first lobby being formed, so we should be in the game very shortly. So our first game is going to be casted by none other than Big Toe and Patch. So take it away, guys.
Thank you, Eagle, and thank you, Damn Glam, for running the shop here. And yeah, we have a ZVZ to start the day between Zip on the Red Hatlings and Grit Bear on Microsoft Bill 4 Gates. So ZVZ on Purity and Industry. What do you think, Patch?
I think I hate this map.
It's
I'm
cold.
not a fan of them. I'm personally just not a fan of that slow airspace, but both bases just being that slow airspace away. It frustrates me.
Yeah, in TVT it creates a lot. It seems like there's a lot of action, there's a lot of dropping and airplay. But I guess in ZVZ we could too. But so yeah, we'll see what sort of strategy they use to make use or completely ignore. There's also a gold base in the bottom left corner, which I just learned this past week. A single gold base. So that's interesting.
Did you play with someone who actually took it?
No, but I just thought about it. What if the possibility of taking that corner gold base?
It's safe, to say the least. I mean, there's so much close distance rushing and battling going on that no one would really go out that way unless they distinctly let me go check this gold base.
Yeah, because it's not like other maps where you take that risk of getting the pocket base, but they might scout it on their way to do a drop. There's really no reason for them to go over there, as you're saying. So it could potentially work to your favor.
Yeah.
But
it'd be interesting to see what happens here. All right, so it looks like we're in the game. Get to introduce the players here. In the top center for playing for the Microsoft team, we have Grit Bear.
And in the 3 o'clock position, I guess you'd say, we have playing for Red Hat. It is Zip.
Alright, so I imagine we're going to see the standard Zerg openers,
Standard
no
Zerg
early
openers.
pulls. Or
Kit
wait.
Patch. No drone pulls. You cannot fly drones across the airspace, unfortunately. But this Overlord is going to make a long, slow journey across. It's tough to be an Overlord.
It is.
They're kind of
It's
sad.
on a map like this where you just kind of got to slowly go where you're going to go before.
But, no flight restrictions on that. The FAA approved travel is commencing. And, yeah, I don't know. What do you have any guesses as far as what we might see on this map?
In my mind, this map lends to early aggression more than anything, especially if you can open up those rocks by the sensor tower. It's a very short distance, and you can keep on the pressure. So it'll be interesting to see these initial ramps out of the natural into that close third there is a bit of a choke point, but you can easily get past, or you can go the long way around and get some damage done. So I don't know.
Yep. Exactly. We will just have to wait and see. But the players are pretty much mirroring each other right now. If you look, supply is the same. The workers are about the same. Lings are coming out, and yeah, even the speed upgrade is almost exactly the same. So
They don't call it a mirror match for no reason.
that is right. We are going to see these Lings. Hey, man, found some. Okay, I don't want to fight. I just want to keep doing my thing. Leave me alone. And they're going to head their way to their base.
Trying to get that
Unscathed.
scout off.
Well, not quite unscathed.
This match is so mirror that like even the building placements are almost the same.
Yep.
Like the only difference is whatever that building is that Zip put down in his second, Great Bear put it down on the opposite pillar.
Yeah, the Baneling nests. Yeah, because they're usually in this matchup you'll see players create a wall, a total wall or a half wall at their natural, because it allows them to have control over the terrain and choose where to create the chokes and the concaves, rather than you sort of being subjected to whatever the map is. So yeah, usually you'll see some Evo chambers and maybe a spine crawler or two put in the line. But yeah, these players are almost everything's the same. Zip does have a few more workers we can see, but yeah. Just a battle of Lings.
Yep. Trying to poke in that little army there. Lings just said, nope, not today, guys. Go home. See you later.
Go home. We do have the first Banelings being morphed. I'm not sure if Grip Bear saw those. He saw the nest as he ran by. So he knows Banes are available. And yeah, we got a layer about halfway done from Zip. So see if he goes into whether it be Hydras or Mutas, some kind of more of a gas heavy tech tree. But I'm ready for some...
Yeah. You ready for what?
I am ready for this battles to happen. I want to see some Zerglings explode. I want to see the bugs squashed. Just playing some Super Troopers, actually. The SCTuesdays, some of the SCTuesdays crew. That's how we warm up for the cast. We squash the bugs with Johnny Rico and Disley.
Yeah, the bugs do need to be squashed every once in a while.
Yeah.
Well, looks like at least Grit Bear's getting quite a bit of scouting done, as opposed to Zip. Zip's trying to poke in here at this third. He'll run away once he sees the Banelings coming. I think whatever happens, the upper hand will be when this next set of army, whatever they end up producing out for these Lings and Banelings.
Yeah, so we can see Zip. Obviously, he's got a Roach Warren about to finish now, and just generally a bit ahead of Grip Bear. Grip Bear's layered, just finished right now. So we'll see what he goes. He's already building roaches. Doesn't look like either one is going to go into Spire Tech for now. Going to be a ground battle, duking it out. But yeah, this is it's a very quiet start, you might say.
Yeah. It's about 6.5 minutes in almost, and little pokes here, there, little skirmishes.
Maybe a mutual respect from both players, Like, hey, you're pretty good, I'm pretty good. We're gonna just play our best here and develop into what looks like a macro game with our force base just going down. Of course, right under the Overlord from Zip, so he's gonna know about that and maybe want to send some Lings over and see what he can do. Doesn't have any Banelings with him though. Looks like he might want to let the hatch finish and then take it out.
Potentially. I was wondering why he was just hanging out there for a minute. Looks like he's trying to get some. Oh, we got a Ravager here. Looks like Zip may want to start trying to poke in and get this base destroyed after it finishes up.
Well, yeah, and of course now it is well defended with a larger force than Zip has. Well, the army supply is only slightly in favor of Grip Bear. So once he gets all his army in place, it's going to be a pretty even fight. Here it comes in, got the Biles going down, does mostly dodge them and sort of poke Zip back, but quite a lot of roaches from Grip Bear. Some nice Biles land on the queens. He's got to be careful not to lose those queens, especially the high energy ones are the most valuable. Can do those injects and lay down those creep tumors. So valuable, but does have enough to scare Zip off and push him back. And there's that narrow choke, and whatever player gets caught in that is going to be at a big disadvantage. So you can see Zip just holding the side.
Oh, Grip Bear will push Zip back here, and he ends up morphing some Ravagers of his own. The army supply is starting to get a little more imbalanced. Grip Bear 103, Zip 88.
Yeah.
Zip's gonna just kind of have to hang back and defend for a little bit.
Yeah, Zip was a bit late to react in that battle. Did lose a bit of army, but you know now he's on the side of the map, ready to go. Yeah, Grip Bear is macroing a bit faster than Zip, so see what Zip's gonna have to maybe get some damage done here, even up the tides.
Grip Bear's now maxed out. Zip's still at 160 supply. Looks like Grip Bear has a sizable worker lead as well.
He does.
71, so his economy is a little up there too.
He does, but Zip has a nice counterattack here on this, I guess, third base in the corner. Grip Bear is going to split his army up, and he does know what Zip's plan of luring him away from his fourth base.
They had to give up one of those bases. It looked like he ended up giving up this top one, and he finally committed, but I think it's going to be a little too late. The base will go down, and Zip will run out of there.
Nicely played by Zip. Split the player's attention, forced him to make a decision, and he made the wrong one.
And now it looks like Grip Bear's trying to poke in a little bit, do a little damage here. The army supply. Oh, there's a drop of roaches in Zip's main here. That was some interesting play. Not often you see a third drop. So.
No, he took the long, slow route over and got that done. And he is doing a push at the same time, so again, Zip is in the same sort of position he was earlier and forced to let that base fall as he defends his main base. And even that, a couple of roaches still picking away. So Zip's economy is in a bit of trouble right now.
Yep. He needs to find something to do, but he's got this army also coming into poke. He's going to have to try to defend this coming in. Wow. It's a hard decision. He's trying to have to hold the army at bay while also can't lose that natural or that main base.
Yeah, and so we can see, so actually Grip Bear's second attack upgrade just finished. He's going to need that in time. Zip gets a great concave on this army on the bottom, though, and is getting a fantastic trade there. He looks like he is finally cleaning up his main as well. He's going to push back. Does clean up the main and pushes back the main army. And this game is actually stabilized pretty evenly with just a slight worker lead. Grip Bear.
And Grip Bear may have a worker lead. At best, it looks like Zip was up a base, but now he's got... and it actually looks like Grip Bear's taking another base, so... yeah.
Yeah, it's so yeah, as we said, the upgrades, there's one upgrade in favor of Grip Bear. He does have a double Evo chamber, whereas Zip only has one, it looks like. So armor buff, nice concave from Zip. Grip Bear knows it and is going to move back, lead him into some of the biles, which do connect. Now it's going to come down to these biles. Oh man.
It's an ugly fight no matter where you slice it. Looks like Zip took some heavy damage there as well. Zip's going to go back home, it seems.
Zip is not having that drop. The next, he is a wall, a fortress of spines and spores up there in his main. But yeah, so this position sets up really nicely for the defender to get up a flank. You can see there's 3 sides you can attack from if an army's positioned there. So
Nice little death pit.
yeah, definitely a dangerous spot to attack into. His main base heavily mined out. Gridbear is not transferring drones over as fast as he should. We saw a moment ago, and does have a base completely undroned. So while he does have more workers, they're actually not as efficiently being used right now.
Looks like Zip will throw down a couple more macro hatches to try to really just push out that army. Try to keep. I think he realizes he's a little behind as far as supply counts and is having a little more trouble remaxing than his opponent.
Yep.
Oh, and these riches will get caught off guard and get.
Yeah, it looked like they're just sort of scouting. Grip Bear has begun a transition into getting some lurkers. We can see morphing right there. And so those are going to be, you catch your opponent off guard with the first lurkers, you can get a very favorable fight.
Yeah.
So Zip's got to see that coming and react to it.
And they're down, and there goes Zip, finding it out.
Yeah.
And he'll slow walk these lurkers up.
Yeah, so Zip instantly throws down the infestation pit, we can see, upon seeing the lurkers, a wise choice. In the meantime, in the top left of the screen, we do have a counterattack, but it looks like another one down at Zip's base. So players are trading base, sort of a base trade situation might be developing here.
Yeah. It looks like Zip just decided to go for it with the army across the map. It's going to end up becoming who blinks first over here. And it looks like it might be Zip.
Yeah, one thing to point out is Zip does have a bit of a larger bank, especially gas, important one, the event of a base trade. But man, he is making the decision to come back, as you said. The question is whether he can get a nice surround on Grip Bear. Grip Bear is going to force him through this choke.
Yeah, and he actually goes up through the choke. It's going to be tough, especially with the lurkers in range. They're going to end up doing quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, so he's zoning him out and putting him in a tough spot, really. Needs to save his economy and save his tech structures. But those 3 lurkers make it tough.
Yeah.
He does just charge up the ramp. He's not defending his lurkers. So, bit of a win for Zip.
It is, but I don't know if... Looks like Zip's somewhat alright here, but he doesn't really have the ability to reinforce like he should, so...
Yeah, this is looking like a bit of a last stand.
Ooh. It looks like Zip's somewhat holding it, though, especially with these hydras out. And it looks like he's running away and just giving up that main or natural as well now.
Yeah, so we can see the supply does not lie,
and there's a GG.
There goes the GG.
Not a riveting match for a while. It was pretty even for a good amount of time until just that slight advantage was given to Grid Bear, and he ended up taking full control over it.
Yeah, exactly. It was a kind of a slow, gradual advantage. He's got a bit better micro upgrade advantage, and some nice positioning as well from both players. Really, had nice counterattacks. That drop at Zip's main was very well pulled off, and Zip had a nice move there in that taking out that corner base. So, just pretty close game.
Really close. I wasn't sure which way it was going to go for a long time there. Even when Zip was down, it looked like he was able to at least hold for quite a while there. So definitely a very good match.
Yeah. Well, as we get ready for our second game, which will be Felicitas from Red Hatlings versus Unknown from Bill Forgings, who's a Terran. So it's a PVT, and this will be on Simulacrum. And yeah,
I think these two guys ended up playing each other a few weeks ago as well, so it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing.
and to welcome Eagle back to the stream, and I'll be back.
All right, guys. So that was a game one. Certainly a game if you like roaches.
Typically I get out the can of Raid, but you know,
Yeah,
I guess some people can tolerate it.
I couldn't blame you for that one, but this time won't be a mirror match. It looks like we are going to get the TVP, something a little bit different. So, what do you think, Patch? Any thoughts on this? Looks like we're going to have a rematch. Unknown versus Velocitas. This is we saw this matchup in week 4. And I believe this is the game where Velocitas pulled out a little bit of the Swiss cheddar.
Yeah, I actually helped practice with him for a bit or there, and actually no, I did not have to practice on that one. I had practiced against this cheese load a couple times. It was very effective, but I think Unknown was able to hold it back last time. It'll be interesting to see this time what strategy Velocitas decides to take.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different map this time. Obviously, Velocitas taking advantage of some of that terrain last time, really working to his advantage. But the lobby's ready. We'll be getting into the game here in just a second.
So yeah, it'll be a good one. Very interested to see what the guys end up pulling off here. Velocitas is creative, Protoss at times, what he needs to be. So yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and introduce our players here. In the upper left corner, wearing the blue trunks for Microsoft Bill for Gates, we have the Unknown.
All right, down here in the bottom right for the Red Hatlings, we have Velocitas.
Hatling sporting that shiny red hat.
Yeah.
We do have the probe going across the map here for Velocitas, trying to get that scouting information out pretty early. There was a stretch there last year where Terrans like to build their bases outside of their base. So seeing those proxies coming, pretty critical habit that I think a lot of people picked up.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better way of building your base than outside of your base. Man. Just get on the other end of the map and you just start going.
That's right. I mean, after all, the way you win Starcraft is when your opponent runs out of buildings. Nothing else matters.
If you build a barracks center in like the complete opposite corner and just float it all the way to the corner, the guy may rage quit before you end up dying.
That's right. We do see the Nexus going down for the Protoss early on. The Unknown going ahead and getting his Reaper out, going to get his scouting information. Velocitas, maybe won't you just hide this probe, put it in the corner, and call him up later on in the game. If the Unknown kind of lets him sit there, it's a possibility to pull some shenanigans.
I think this Reaper's going to pop out and go look for him, though. Oh, he sees him.
And that Reaper's easily going to be able to shut down that probe. But the probe's just running in, trying to see what he can see. Won't see this factory going down, though. Only one gas so far for the Terran, so just now dropping his second gas. So maybe not a super heavy gas build. Maybe wants to stay in bio and not necessarily looking for the heavy mech, heavy air type of composition.
Yeah, I find when I'm playing against Protoss, it's kind of hard to do anything but bio, to be honest, at least as an opener. Just so much early damage that can be done by a Protoss. And it can really hurt if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, and speaking of prepared, that Stalker was prepared to shut down that Reaper. Sitting there on the cliff waiting for him, almost as if he knew what was happening. That good micro on that probe. The probe decided, I'm not mining yet. Went up the ramp, avoided the Reaper shots. The Reaper's just going to scurry on out of there. Notably, with the lack of scouting information, the Unknown had gone ahead and dropped his a bunker there at his front. Doesn't look like Velocitas is really ramping up yet. Does have that Robo down. Is trying to get an extra gateway, warp gate out. Just standard macroing up for our Protoss.
And a little bit of standard defensive play here out of the Unknown. You know, he's got the bunker out front. He's got some winter mines coming. That kind of helps keep the pressure down from the Protoss if he tries to do anything cheeky or early aggressive.
Still has this Reaper on the map. Hopefully wants to keep that alive. Is going to give him a chance to see those pushes coming across, and more importantly, see them before they end the Widow Mine. Perfectly placed to take out that scouting hallucination Phoenix. We'll see if the Unknown was paying attention, knows why his Widow Mine fired off. Does have that Viking there. Just very, very solid defensive play from both of our players so far.
Yeah. Starting to get the impression that we're in for a potential macro game, especially out of the Unknown. He's just kind of hanging back. He's kind of turtling up. He's getting the defensive spots held up and just hanging out, doing what he's doing.
That's right, and notably out of Velocitas, it's an interesting. Has one observer out on the field, is actually making a second observer, and now looks like a third observer. Those three stalkers are having none of that Reaper. Get out of our base, noob. But as I was saying, you know, 3 observers coming out for Velocitas really just wants all that scouting information.
Yeah, looks like he's really trying to see what he can see. We got Stim and Combat Shield starting now for the Terran, so he's definitely committing to the bio play.
Interestingly enough, Velocitas starting to float quite a bit of money. Does have the slight supply lead, a few extra workers, a few less army units, but is going ahead and getting that third base down, so is staying on a macro-focused type of build, as well as getting the Twilight Council down, so he's going to get his own upgrades going very shortly. As well as Double Forge, so it looks like he's really going to commit to this sort of gateway composition. Those Stalkers just patrolling back there with the shield battery, so he is ready for anything. Of course, a lot of Terrans like, with this bio-type composition, like to get those drops, try to get that multi-prong harassment. This Phoenix is going to split the defenders, though. He's going to see everything. Sees the Marauders walking out, sees all those tech labs chunking away, but this Widow Mine, he's going to put it into it.
Yep. Yeah. The sizable army here looking like for the Unknown. He ended up getting rid of that barracks there as well. Felt kind of safe at that point and decided to recollect some of that money.
Yep.
And his third command center will be finished as well. It'll be interesting to see which way he floats it.
That's right. Deciding not to, with this third base, the third base can be a little hard to defend sometimes. There's sort of a lot of entrances into it. Sometimes you'll see the Terran just go ahead and put a PF there. Just makes it very safe to take. PF surrounded by a couple of turrets. Solid gold, solid silver strategies there. And gets the scan down on the natural for Velocitas, but luckily Velocitas' army wasn't standing there. Is just going to see a whole bunch of nothing. Those Zealots are going to have charge done real soon. Is warping in a couple of Templar as well as a Immortal to back that up. So just going for a really beefy kind of composition here. Really just going to try to overrun that Terran force, not let them stem micro away.
Yep, and looks like he's going to try to come in here and siege up on this low ground base. There's an observer here, though, so Velocitas will see it and get into position.
Good reaction from Velocitas. Sees it, gets the Guardian Shield up to stop those tank shots. Has one of his Templar kind of floating forward, but these Marines and Marauders just have so much DPS coming out. Bust right through that Protoss army. They have to regroup. It looks like he's going to sack this base. Nothing here to really defend. He's going to regroup all of those army units. With that damage done, I think the Unknown is going to pull back. Knows he's a base up on his opponent. Looks like he's also building a 4th base at his 3rd there. So the Unknown went ahead, get more ahead.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons why I don't like that spot myself for a 3rd base. I typically like to expand down the side of the map, mainly because it's still high ground. You still have some tighter chokes up there, and since we have Terrans have to build supply depots, I'll end up just walling off each ramp with supply depots.
That's right. It's sort of the potential 3rd bases there are pretty far apart, so a lot of times you won't see them split. They'll take either that upper 3rd base and then continue sort of moving around clockwise, or they'll take the lower one and move around counterclockwise. Terran moving out across the map again. Looks like he's just trying to clear out some of this destructible debris, give him a little bit more surface area, I guess. He doesn't want to get caught off by the Protoss force. Maybe expects to find a base up here. It's going to move up and see nothing. So probably wondering what his opponent's doing. The Unknown sitting on a little bit of an advantage. Gets sieged up, catches his opponent by surprise. But the Protoss is rotating back up to deal with it. That tank completely exposed to those storms, and those storms just wrecking havoc on that bioforce. But the Protoss forces themselves are quickly running out. Just the 1-1 bio so good in this matchup.
Yeah. And Belfort Gates will take another win. 2-0.
Solid opening from Microsoft. Looking very good. All of our players so far looking very good. Red Hat and Microsoft opting for some macro-oriented games. In that one, we saw both the Protoss and the Terran trying to ramp up, get some really powerful armies, and I think our Bill for Gates player found some timings, was able to slide in some extra units, get that 1-1 on his Bioforce, and get out ahead. That first attack came before he had Storm done. He had Storm done for the second one, but at that point he was slipping a little bit in the army supply and just got overrun.
Yeah, that first engagement really did a good amount of damage to his army there. Gave enough of an upper hand to end up coming around and just winning the game.
Yeah, losing that 3rd as well, and he had the money to go ahead and drop it, but that's 400 minerals you don't want to spend. Four more zealots in that engagement, or a couple of stalkers. It could have turned the tide. It was that sort of killing attack was sort of on the precipice of going either way. But once you knock out most of your opponent's army, it can start to cascade. Just not easy to defend that.
All right, guys. Going to be sitting out on this one. Miktasana's going to come back in and join Eagle for the 3rd match.
All right, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, another close game. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't sure actually who was going to win that game until the decisive fight at the end there. Yeah.
Yeah, for a while I wasn't sure who was going to attack first. Both sort of building up towards that same, very similar timings almost. It's just that the Terran timing hits a hair earlier and sort of keeps the Protoss from hitting that critical mass that they want. But now we're on match point for the Red Hatlings.
We sure are, and so Game 3 will be Cyril playing for Red Hatlings versus Funk's Protoss player from Microsoft Bill Forgate. So ZVP, our first one of the day on Nightshade. And the game invites are going out, so it'd be just a moment until we're in the game. But ZVP's been a lot of has changed a lot over the years, actually, and now it seems like it's sort of going back and forth between this charge lot of Mortal Archon style to really a lot of airplay coming out of Protoss, deny Overlord vision, kind of get back control, prevent the Zerg from getting too out of control, and carrying on into that late game.
Yeah,
Once
we
they
are seeing. Yeah, I was to say we are seeing a lot of shifts in the meta right now, where we had sort of a very long kind of, I don't want to call it stagnant stretch, but I think we're seeing a lot more creative play out of the Protoss, and it's sort of forcing the Zergs to adapt and try something different.
Yeah, exactly. The change to Infestors, of course, that brought a huge change to the matchup, and Protoss didn't really want to go to the late game against Zerg when Infestors were as good as they were. And so, but now I'd say there's not really a preference, it's more down to the preference of the player.
Yeah,
But
I think it does come down to a lot of individual micro style. You know, are you say better with those Vipers? You know, get that Viper Root Lord composition just overpowered. You want to try to add more pressure in the early game, but the countdown has begun. We'll be going into this game very shortly. Our game 3 of our match this week: Cyril versus Funkays. Red Hat hoping to avoid elimination for at least one more map.
Yep. So, rooting for our Red Hat player here, for Red Hat as well, and just to have more Starcraft. It's kind of a double win. But regardless, we're going to get to our player intros here. And so in the top left of the map, playing for the Microsoft Bill 4 Gates, we have Funkays.
And then in the bottom right of our map, wearing the red trunks, sporting the purple creep, it's Cyril.
Did you say Cyril?
Sorry, Cyril.
That's what he wants, people.
It's a mind game, really. Obviously, trying to strike a little bit of psychological damage before the map ever starts. Oh, I'm going up against the Grandmaster Zerg. Defeats all opponents before him, and not quite the same person, or is it?
We'll just have to let the viewer decide.
That's right. Fairly standard opener so far. Cyril getting his natural down. Protoss starting to wall off that natural so he can go ahead and get his. Very standard timings. Protoss not seeing anything out of the ordinary. So not seeing any sort of 12 pool crazy aggression yet.
Yeah, so he does have the start of his wall here, and probably going to be adding either a second gateway or a cyber core. Protoss often create a full wall with a Zealot or Adept filling the hole there, and that is, of course, to prevent Ling run-bys. A favorite tool of the Zerg, every Zerg it seems.
Yeah, that's right. The Ling run-bys could be really scary, especially you get later in the game. Put a couple of upgrades on those puppies and get some cracklings going. They can just wipe out a mineral line in no time.
That's right, but
here comes the Overlord to sit in his perch. It's going to give him all kinds of vision on the natural, all kinds of unreciprocated vision, just able to look and see. Oh, but is going to move out. Probably felt the, a little bit guilty because, up there in the perch, nobody else can see him. So is just going to kind of saunter through the base as you do, leaving a perch.
Right. He is a progressive overlord, does not believe in any kind of nefarious nature here. So, but this probe is going to get the scout in the third base. Very important in the matchup to know when the Zerg takes the third base, and
might actually get out alive. That the Adept comes down to try to save him, and looks like it was able to run him off. That probe going home. That's a hero probe right there.
That is a veteran to the max, and this Adept is going to come in and see what he can do. Adepts do 2-shot Lings, I believe, and so he can hold his own against a couple of Zerglings. And just sort of see what he's finding. He's looking for all kinds of things. He's looking for how many drones there are. He's looking for when Zip takes his gas, or when Cyril takes his gas, and because that'll tell him a lot about the tech choices he's going to use, and also because he has an Oracle on the way, so he definitely wants to see if there are spores.
That's right. And, you know, as you say that, spores are finishing up for Cyril. A little bit of sixth sense there, just knows the timing in this matchup, knows when the Oracles should be arriving. Oracle's favorite tool for a lot of Protoss, able to just get so many drone kills so quickly, and if you don't have that spore up, the Queen's probably not going to stop it.
Yep, but he is defended, so he will be okay when, of course, this third base, as I say that, an instant change into a spore, so he's going to get killed.
Yeah, notably, the Oracle does do enough DPS that he can stop a building spore, but is spending up all that energy, has about 15 energy left, and is just going to poke away at that hatch, I guess, before he heads home.
You might say that's not worth the cost of an Oracle.
Well, it does delay. You know, it forces a reaction out of Cyril, so not the best move, but you know, it's an opportunity for more mistakes from both sides. I know a lot of Zergs will see that Oracle and just panic and drop 5 spore crawlers and stuff like that. So it's a matter of remaining calm. It looks like Cyril very confident, very assured of his position. Has Lings running around the map. Aggroing those Oracles probably the best thing you can do right now. Keeps them out of the mineral lines, keep their energy low. Oracles with no energy do no damage.
Two of the fastest units in the game, the Zerglings and Oracles, so they do make a good counter and good pair to each other for vying for map control. Comes in, tries to get a couple drone kills, does get 3, and both Oracles do survive, so that's not a bad trade.
It's not a very efficient trade, but staying alive, most important thing there. So those 2 Oracles will continue to be annoying for the rest of the game. You'll either be able to pull them in just for some harass here and there, or using that Revelation, Stasis Wards, a lot of different tools if they stay alive. Usually Protoss doesn't want to expend more resources building more Oracles. Much rather be beefing up that army, getting upgrades.
Yeah. And he's got about as anti-Ling of a composition right now as you can have with these Oracles and Adepts. So probably not going to see a whole lot more Lings out of Cyril. We do see he's moving has a bunch of Roaches in production and is getting his Hydra Den on the way. So gonna tech up, get a more well-rounded force able to deal with whatever Funke's throws at him.
Yeah, these really heavy mid-game forces. The Roach Hydra. Probably supporting that with Ravagers, maybe a transition to Lurkers. On the other side, you know, you have your Protoss going into the heavy gateway type of army, supported by those Immortals. Those Immortals so good at shutting down Roaches, but much less good against the very fast light units, the Hydras, the Lings.
Exactly, yeah. So players stepping on the macro gas here. Cyril is up over 60 drones, and Funke's is about to be past 60 himself. But just kind of a jockeying for positioning, both players trying to find out what to do. We do have an Overlord, looks like, scouting the entire main base, Overseer, and sees a bunch of probes that just decide, you know what, we're going to strike today. Screw this, not doing my job.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate for Funke's, who could really use the money right now. It is notable that we're on even bases, 3 bases to 3 bases, very even workers, and there's a run by from the Lings right now into the natural of Funke's. Funke's can't really afford for more and more workers to go on strike, but is moving in, trying to do some damage of his own. The Roach is moving in, the Hydra's so much damage, taking out those 2 Immortals, and the Roaches up front just soaking all of the hits from the Adepts and the Zealots, and it looks like Zerg's easily going to clean up this Protoss force, but Protoss struggling back home, having to warp in a couple extra units at home instead of at the front line. Not really what he wanted.
So Funke's there. His Zealots got pretty far separated from the rest of his force, and I think the fight would have gone better had that not happened, because we're sort of attacking drones as the army was dying, but the battle did stabilize. He is putting pressure on this fourth base. Looks like he is going to get cleaned up, though, and forced to push back. Will save the hatch. And they don't get to go home, those units.
That's right. Cyril starting to take a commanding lead now. Notably, actually still even on workers. You know, a lot of times in this matchup, Zerg wants to be a base ahead, wants to have all that extra economy just so he can be more efficient with his units. But there's a great example of making use of those oracles, keeping those oracles alive, gives him that revelation. He'll be able to see what these units are doing for the next minute or so. So it's going to be hard for Cyril to say sneak up on him with a really heavy attack.
That's right, and as you said, with the even economy, that is just what Funke's needs, is to buy time. Because the workers may be even, but the army is most definitely not. And that is where your supply difference is coming from. So Funke's is definitely an advantage to kind of hold on, weather the storm, and see if he can get a force he needs. Probably some splash damage. That's what the guy needs.
That's right. And, you know, Cyril starting to get that fourth base up. Well, Funke's obviously not prepared for it at all. But is getting some really beefy looking units. Does have his 2 weapons upgrade finished. Working on 3. Getting out Archons. Morphing in tons of Templar. Looks like a Archon Immortal army. Probably getting some storms to back that up. Is just what he needs to sort of shut down this very heavy sort of low to mid tier units from the Zerg. But we'll see what these Banelings can do as he's morphing in over at the 4th.
Yeah, here come the Banelings. They're going to attempt to break down this wall. They do get through, but they are severely damaged, so going to get a pocket of probes. Oh, okay, only two probes go down, so actually not a bad trade for Funke's.
Yeah, he was able to defend that pretty well. Not really enough Banelings there to do a lot of damage. Doesn't have Baneling speed, but a good move by Cyril too. Does have the economy advantage. Can afford to throw away a couple extra minerals. And you do see all the extra queens there transfusing that hatch. Don't want it to die unnecessarily.
That's right. Yeah, the way this game played out is actually interesting. Usually you see the players kind of stick to their side of the map, you'd say maybe bottom and top, but we do have sort of this left-right. Cyril's done such a great job of map control, and he sort of forced Funke's to take an odd fourth base. But both players now seeing where the armies are, you can see they're getting pretty close to each other, just sort of sizing up when they want to take a fight, and see what happens.
Yeah, Cyril getting very close to being maxed out, and it looks like with the Protoss force moving across the map that they're going to engage. Does still have the revelation on that army. Oracle's still getting a little bit of value here late in the game, but both sides decide to pull back. Cyril trying to decide what his transition's going to be. Is morphing some lurkers. Lurkers are going to be fantastic against this ground-based composition from the Protoss, but Funke is getting a couple extra oracles out. Probably not the worst idea. That revelation is going to allow him to see those buried lurkers. Just give him sort of a lot of utility.
That's right, and Cyril is moving into position here. Probably thinks there's a base up there in the 2 o'clock or so position, even though there's not. But regardless, is going to get his army in a position to do a lot of damage. It is completely seen by that one. What a revelation. Yeah, Funke's has got the high ground, so he's going to be able to hold that position, but he does have some lurkers to fend off with. And
That's
not
right.
a lot of Storm. Does he even have Storm research?
He does have Storm. Did get Storm off on that ball of Banelings, but didn't get them all. The Banelings basically just aggroing the main Protoss ball while the rest of the army moves in. Storms are coming down now, taking out all the Banelings, getting some heavy damage on them lurkers, but just so much Zerg here doing so much damage. And with the Revelation cooldown off of those lurkers are free to just continue to pile in the damage. Doesn't want to unburrow them, doesn't want to lose them, but that Observer is going to spot them.
Yeah, catches a nice position actually, and will clean up these lurkers, but he's got bigger problems. That's his main base is being chewed alive right now.
That's right. There goes the Fleet Beacon, continuing to lose more and more workers. Looks like Cyril just opting to take out those strategic pylons. For all those new people to StarCraft out there, if the Protoss don't have pylons, their buildings don't work.
Pylons are a bit important, you might say. But yeah, he does fend off the main attack, but we do have a follow-up attack now happening at his third base here. And this time, it is not things that walk on the ground.
What a transition. So, just out of the blue, pulls out tons of mutas. Maybe not the best composition to pull against this sort of Storm Archon composition from our Protoss, but is making it work. Does have just the huge economic advantage. He can basically do whatever he wants as long as he keeps his macro going.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the opponent's main base, so he does know Funkaze does not even have a Stargate. So, you know, no Phoenixes, no kind of arch nemesis of the Muta available.
Well, he does know he has a Stargate because he depowered it, and because he's seen a lot of oracles. But you know, right. not something that Funkaze is really committing to.
There was that Stargate, but yeah, now he's just swarmed all over the place. As those Banelings get up into the main, and you know, it's looking real bad for the Protoss player. That's right,
just so much Zerg everywhere now. Those Mutas able to make good work on those Immortals and just fly away from the Archons. They don't want to deal with the Archons and the Templar, but it's very easy for them to be somewhere else. Very fast, very quick-moving units. There goes the Nexus in the main. Funkaze still has quite a bit of infrastructure, but supply is falling fast, and it's not looking good. If Cyril can depower all of those gateways, Funkaze is going to be stumped.
He sure is, and these Mutas are just having a field day cleaning up all the probes they can, and his units can not get in position. He doesn't have Blink, I don't believe, and so he's just gonna have a tough time just chasing these Mutas back and forth. You can see the position of these bases is just perfect for the Mutas to hop between them.
Yeah, this is a really clever transition from Cyril. Probably not the one that most people would opt towards, given the composition that the Protoss is doing, but does take those pylons out, so Funkaze is now struggling, but he has one secret weapon in the arsenal of every Protoss out there. Win behind Dark Shrine.
That is right. When all else fails, when you do not know what to do, you build the DTs. And you know, he's doing it, but he does have 50 minerals to his name, so I'm not sure how many DTs he's going to make, but the threat is there.
Still has mineral income, so he only needs one. Well, he needs buildings, so he needs to not lose all his buildings. But he's going to go ahead and call GG there, so with that, Red Hat pulls it back, takes the game off of Microsoft, and it's now a 1-2 series.
That's right. Red Hat putting up a fight, not done yet, and yeah, that was a good game. Wish the players were fairly evenly matched, and yeah, just turned out in the Zerg's favor. So
yeah, Funkaze was doing a good job of you know, keeping scouting information, you know, keeping his scouting going, keeping his oracles alive, just being on the map, being very active. Had a couple of sort of scary attacks, and Cyril just kind of weathered it. Got all of the Zerg tech apparently, and just overwhelmed his opponent.
That's right. That Zerg macro, his economy did go fairly uncontested despite the couple of drone kills to support early on, so was able to power up. But we are going to move into game number 4 here, which will be Mr. Sleep playing from Red Hatlings, Zerg, versus DOJ. The Department of Justice has created a Starcraft account and decided they want to get in the game. So there we have it. DOJ
right.
for Mike.
And for game number 4, I'll be tagging out as Patch tags back in. So good luck, have fun, guys. Let's see if Red Hat can pull off the comeback.
Yeah, Patch, did you know the Department of Justice wanted to maybe update its branding, appeal to a younger demographic, turn to esports?
I had not heard that.
Yeah, it's going around.
Huh. Yeah.
But yeah, we are moving into Game 4. Just bear with us a moment as we get the lobby ready. And yeah, once again, this will be a ZVT, our first of the day. The best matchup of them all.
Sure.
I'm not biased at all. That's a fair player.
It is fun to walk around and burn bugs, you know.
Yeah, everyone can appreciate that.
Yep.
But players are just getting set up, and we will be get started. So this will be played on Eternal Empire. That's the map that looks like an S.
The map that I got smash probed on.
Is in the infamous game of the year. It'll definitely make the highlight reels.
Yep.
But
Especially
I don't.
What?
I don't expect it to happen again. I'd be pretty impressed if he can mass probe.
I'd be very impressed if someone could mass probe right now.
Yeah, that would be. That's like next level Starcraft. You are ready to fight Cyril if you can mass probe as Terran.
Or a Zerg.
Or Zerg. But yeah, so let's introduce our players. Why not?
Yeah. So, all right, down here in the bottom left, for the Red Hatlings, we have good old Mr. Sleep. Every time I say that name, I think about taking a nap.
That's he is the Jigglypuff of StarCraft, and in the top right corner, we have playing for Microsoft. It is DOJ, the Department of Justice. So here we go. Players are discussing possibly some lag experiencing from one side. Hopefully we can get that worked out and have a good even game of StarCraft.
Yep. So yeah, I will say, oh, there's lag. I'm noticing it now.
Yep, same here.
Alright, so we'll keep going as we can. We'll see what happens with the lag if we end up backing out and recreating it, but until then, the match goes on. I will say it was nice to see Red Hat take a macro upper hand last game. It was nice to see that happen.
Yeah, definitely. We got to see a good long game, and Cyril, yeah, he played it well, turned on the macro lever, and really pumped out everything he needed to counter what Funke's was doing. So we'll see. I'm hoping we get another long game, and yeah. Just wanted to take a minute to remind players that this is the CEA, the Corporate Esports Association, and it is for charity. So the winning team at the end of the season will get to choose where the charity money goes. Yeah. And so it is all for a good cause, some good fun, and that's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Sorry. Kind of late there. I'm lagging apparently today as well.
Brain lag. Well, you know, last game I did claim that he didn't have a Stargate when we were seeing oracles all game. So, you know, sometimes the casters do get lag on the brain. There is there's some latency, you might say, in the travel here. But
so the Reaper will sit here and poke off a probe, and looks like he's trying to go back in now to see something. That Overlord is out in our favorite spot there. What is it?
It's the Perv Perch. Take your drinks. This probe is sitting right under the Perv Perch, I believe. Just kind of ready. He's saying, "Hey, I know you're there. We know you're up there, man."
Probe, you say?
It's Marine. Excuse me.
You're just so excited for probes to come out on this map during this match.
Yeah, I will forever be ingrained in my head watching a line of probes march across the map. But this Reaper is really being able to do whatever the heck he wants. Mr. Sleep not really pulling the queen up. Oh man, spoke too soon.
Ooh, there he goes. He'll get the surround on the Reaper, and you see, workers are valid attack units.
That's right. We have definitely something about this map. It just makes all the workers kind of boil up, and they go nuts. And they just start attacking things. So probably need to think about their benefit compensation, maybe some stock options here, so the workers tend to not revolt as much.
So it looks like we have our mech match of the day. Looks like DOJ is going mass or macro mech here. So he's getting the upgrades for the Cyclones. So we'll see some Cyclone Hellion harass probably here in a minute.
Yep, gonna go for the battle mech, as you said. A nice choice in the matchup. And we got Mr. Sleep, got Roachhorn on the way, but these Hellions are gonna be able to get in and get some damage. Whoa, it's way too close to the drones. Starts frying 3, 5. Mr. Sleep's got to do something about this fast.
Yeah, he's doing like a good amount of damage here on the drone count. And he'll also, wow, he's going all the way into the main to try to get some damage done here.
Yeah, still burning 14, 15 workers down.
Ooh.
This is real bad for Mr. Sleep.
That is a painful situation. He is taking out 26 drones with that run by.
Yeah, he.
That worker count is now 39 to 12.
So he's put Mr. Sleep in a position where he has no choice now. I would say he needs to all in. If you ask me as a player, he cannot just sit back and play the game, because when you're on a third or less than half of the workers your opponent, well, guess what? Things move that much faster for them as they do for you. So it's kind of in a tough spot, unfortunately, and he's really going to need to make a decision on what he's going to do.
Yeah. And it looks like DOJ is gearing up for another move out here. This time with Cyclones included in the mix. I will imagine he may try to go down to the this third base here and maybe take it out. And we possibly will have Liberators setting up outside of the natural.
Yeah, that's not what he needs right now. Does have his, I believe his Hydra Den finished. He's got to get some queens in position to deal with this, but this attack is going to hit his third at the same time as the Liberator. Going to continue to pile on the pressure here. And Cyclones can take out a hatchery very fast.
Especially with those upgrades. It is pretty damaging. And this third will go down as the roaches just show up to push them away.
Takes down the third. He does clean up the Liberator. With that being said, it gets 6 drone kills.
Oh, the Liberator's still there. He just fended him off for a minute.
Fend him off, yep. Well, looking tough.
Oh.
You know, I guess the Zerg equivalent is maybe when behind Nidus?
Yeah. I hope if the enemy's army is out of position like it is and you can Nidus in, might as well.
Yeah, but these roaches, especially off creep, you can see how slow they move. No match for the force of the Terran. He's just picking them off.
Yep, the Cyclones will kite him all day.
And all kinds of production going on from DOJ. You can see he's got tons of upgrades. Blue Flame, got tanks in production. And that is what you can do when you have a regular economy.
And looks like the DOJ will poke in here again, start doing some damage, start staking out these queens. Oh, that queen will go down. Starts cleaning up the creep, cleaning up the overlord. This is probably the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that Mr. Sleep can do here. He's trying to get his Hydra Force out.
But yeah, there go. Hydras go down. These riches will start pushing the Cyclones away. But again, they start picking off rich by rich.
Yeah, he's got extra economy to spare. You can see he's just not deciding not to spend it on mules, really kind of bunkering the Zerg in their own base. Creep spread is so important in this matchup. And fortunately, Mr. Sleep does not have much of it. But he's a fighter. He's holding on.
He's trying. He's holding that last thread. It looks like these tanks are all moved out here to get into position. Let's never see. We'll see the army starting to pop up here. The positioning here on these tanks, he'll be able to kite the armies into the tanks, and tanks will be able to get a good amount of damage going on here.
You know, we're talking a lot about workers just having too much and joining the fight. I think that's what Mr. Sleep needs to do right now. He needs to pull the boys.
Yeah, this would have to be a everything or nothing. And
he is getting a nice trade here on these Cyclones. Let's clean up. Might as well go take out that single tank. Probably doesn't know. Can't see like we can. There he goes. Oh, 2 tanks, excuse me.
Yeah. Backup tank will keep this tank alive, take out the riches, but DOJ kind of gives up the positioning a little bit and gets in a little more defensive posture. And Mr. Sleep's third is about to go up, but DOJ is now on 4 bases, with another base looks like it's floating out.
It's winning in every aspect of the game here, but if things can stabilize, Mr. Sleep could potentially mount a comeback. We get some favorable trades, catches a tank, maybe. Not before getting his licks in, though. Got some damage done. Yeah, when you're in a position like this, you can't play a standard game, so I know Mr. Sleep doesn't have many choices, to be fair, but definitely something out of the ordinary is really what we'd love to see him do. Something like, for example, a secret base in the corner, and just kind of hope it doesn't get scouted, because this standard game is going to be really tough for him to close. Look at the gap here. We have 100 supply differential.
Level 2 weapons are about to pop. Level 2 armor. It is a pretty sizable lead for DOJ at this point.
Yeah, Mr. Sleep getting his roach speed up, trying to get his numbers to where he needs them to be, and just survive for a bit longer. But everything he's doing, DOG, of course, DOJ can do about 3 times as fast because he has twice as many workers. And tank's gonna get in this cubby hole.
Yep, looks like DOJ. Oh, that is a bad tank position. It doesn't seem to matter too much that the army funnels in, and there's a nice amount of defense here to keep any reinforcements coming in. And there's the GG.
And so Microsoft will take the match with a 3-1 score, and that will be our final game of the day. But not before we assemble our casting team here at the end, bring Eagle back into it, and just discuss the match and what this means for the standings, and see where we go forward with the rest of the season.
Yeah, tough match for Microsoft. Tough match for Microsoft as well, but a tough match for Red Hat today. Unfortunately, not quite able to pull out the victory there. A couple of tough games, really. Looked like it could go either way on a lot of those, but that last game looked like Mr. Sleep just kind of got behind and took way too much damage from those Hellion run-bys.
Yeah, he just didn't react quite quickly enough to shut it down. Always a tough unit for the Zerg to deal with early on if you don't have your queens in position, don't have any spines up. That Hellions, that is their specialty, frying some drones.
That's right. Able to fry them all very quickly. So with that, Red Hat's going to drop to 0-3 in the group. Microsoft's going to go up to 3-0 in the group. So Microsoft will win the pool. They will be competing with the number 3 seed of pool number 3 for the, I believe, the 11 seed in the playoffs next week during crossplay. Red Hat dropping to 0-3. They are number 4 in pool 4. They will be competing with the number 2 seed of pool number 5 for the number 16 seed in the playoffs. So next week, crossplay, week 8 of CEA, it's do or die time for Red Hat. If there was a time ever to pull out some interesting strategies and to put it all out there, now is the time.
Yeah, it certainly is. See what sort of strategies they can come up with once they find out who their opponent's going to be. But yeah, any other closing comments, gentlemen?
I was just gonna say it was a very nice competitive day today. Straight up games, straight up matches, good back and forth, classic standard Starcraft.
That's right. That's right. Both players, yeah, definitely, pretty much all close games, and yeah, solid StarCraft. You are right. I want to give a shout out to our observer and man running the cameras, Dan Glam. Thank you so much, and Eagle for running the stream. And does anyone else have anything they want to add?
I think that'll wrap us up for this week, Ben. So, I'm your host. Once again, I'm your host, Eagle Searcher, bringing you CEA Week 7 StarCraft 2 action. We'll be back next week, next Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Catch us here for Crossplay in CEA, the final week before the playoffs. Do or die time for our Red Hatlings. Until then, we will catch you next time. GG.